Ever feel like you're stuck performing some role
Yeah.
instead of, just being yourself? Like, society's got this invisible script we're all supposed to follow.
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
We're going to explore how to break free from that.
All right.
And
Yeah.
it involves some seriously radical science.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're diving into this really thought-provoking blog post.
Okay.
It's called Beyond the Reach of Tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from a blog called Qualium.
Interesting.
And get this, that some of the big questions this deep dive tackles
Okay, shoot.
are, how does fear and social pressure limit our creativity and authenticity?
Mm-hmm.
Can we actually, rewire our brains to
Rewire.
overcome those limitations?
Yeah.
And what would a society of, fearless and compassionate people even look like?
That's a good question.
Right.
Yeah.
So the blog's core argument
Okay.
is that we're conditioned, from childhood
Mm-hmm.
to put social acceptance, above everything else,
Oh, yeah.
over authentic self-expression,
Oh, I see. Yeah.
which leads to all this, fear of judgment, conformity, and vulnerability to manipulation.
Yeah, for sure.
Think back to high school,
Oh, don't make me.
peer pressure,
Oh, God, yeah.
fitting in, not wanting to rock the boat,
You used to fit in. Totally.
And it connects to, everyone's experiences.
Oh, yeah.
The post also emphasizes how pervasive negative emotions are,
Okay.
like anxiety, fear of rejection,
Mm-hmm.
jealousy,
Yeah.
and how they're used to keep us all in line.
Oh, that's interesting.
There's this really vivid metaphor that the blog uses.
Okay.
It talks about, laboring in these barren fields of status obsession,
Wow.
while, these orchards of joy and freedom lie untouched.
That's powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the post goes on to introduce us to this woman,
Okay.
Jo Cameron.
Go Karen.
And she has this rare genetic condition
Okay.
that makes her immune to fear, anxiety,
What?
and even physical pain.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's wild.
it highlights how this impacts her life.
Okay.
Not just the lack of physical pain, but her genuine compassion,
Oh, wow.
her fearless activism, and her harmonious relationships.
That's incredible.
So imagine
Okay.
what it would be like to live just one day
Yeah.
without fear or self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do differently?
I don't even know.
It makes you think, right?
Yeah, it does.
Could Joe's condition hold the key to unlocking human potential?
That's a big question.
It's a huge question.
Yeah. So unlocking human potential.
Yeah.
How do we even?
How do we get there?
Yeah.
So the post suggests that a key element is scientific advancement,
Okay.
specifically something called general anti-suffering gene therapy.
Whoa.
I know.
Gene therapy.
It sounds like sci-fi,
Yeah.
but it's based on real research
Okay.
into gene editing
Yeah.
and the neurological basis of emotions, like fear and anxiety.
How do they work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think about it. We already have medications that can influence these emotions.
Right. Yeah.
So gene therapy could be a more targeted and longer-lasting approach.
That's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
The post even mentions an organization
Okay.
called the Far Out Initiative,
Far Out Initiatives.
and they're actually working on developing this technology.
Really?
They're exploring how to target specific genes
Okay.
that contribute to, feelings of fear, anxiety, or even chronic pain.
That raises some ethical questions.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Who would have access to this?
Right.
Would it be used responsibly?
That's a huge question.
Yeah. And are we really okay with manipulating our genes to change how we feel?
And the post brings up those exact questions.
It's okay. Good.
It emphasizes how important those questions are.
Yeah.
It stresses the need for ethical considerations and equitable access,
Mm-hmm.
arguing that marginalized communities
Right.
who often bear the brunt of suffering
Yeah.
should be at the forefront of these conversations.
I see.
It's not just about eliminating suffering,
Right.
but creating a more just and equitable world in the process.
Totally. And I think that ties into the other thing the post talks about,
Yeah.
cultural change.
Oh, yeah.
Because even if we develop this amazing technology,
Yeah.
it won't be enough if we're still holding on to these old ways of thinking.
Right. Still stuck in those barren fields of status obsession.
Exactly.
So how do we shift those beliefs about human experience?
Right.
It seems like we've been conditioned to accept suffering
Yeah.
as like inevitable.
Like it's just part of life.
Yeah.
It's how we grow,
Right.
give life meaning.
So we need to create spaces
Yeah.
for open and honest conversations about these ideas where people feel safe to question those assumptions without fear of judgment.
Without judgment.
We need to challenge the narrative that suffering is valuable.
Yeah.
And start exploring what a world without those limitations could look like.
A world without limitations. It's hard to even imagine.
Yeah.
But that's where I think art and storytelling can play a role.
Okay.
Like, think about Joe Cameron's story.
Right.
It shows us what's possible.
Yeah.
We can start to imagine new possibilities for human experience.
So it's about fostering a culture of curiosity and openness
Mm-hmm.
rather than like fear and dogma.
Yeah.
A world where people feel empowered to explore their full potential.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
Without the constraints of societal pressure
Mm-hmm.
or the fear of not fitting in.
Imagine the creative energy.
Oh my God.
If we were free from that pressure
Right.
to prove ourselves,
It's good form.
to fit in,
Yeah.
we could start to build new social structures
Okay.
based on collaboration, empathy,
Yeah.
and a shared desire to create a better world.
And it's not just about like these big societal transformations.
Right.
Think about the impact on our everyday interactions.
Yeah.
Imagine a world where we could approach each other with more authenticity, more playfulness, and a genuine desire to connect without all that like social armor.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. Instead of like seeing social interaction as a performance,
Yeah.
where you're constantly worried about how you're being perceived,
Yeah.
we could engage with each other
Yeah.
with genuine curiosity and openness.
What would those interactions even feel like?
I don't know.
What kind of joy and creativity could come out of that?
That's a good question.
Right.
But it also makes you wonder,
What?
if we let go of those fears and anxieties,
Yeah.
would we lose something essential about being human?
Oh,
Is there something valuable about the struggles we face?
that's a deep question.
It is.
Like philosophers have been debating this for centuries.
Yeah.
And the Post invites us to consider it.
Okay.
Maybe by exploring suffering itself,
Yeah.
we can gain a deeper understanding of what we stand to gain
Okay.
and what we might risk losing
Right.
in our pursuit of a world beyond those limitations.
Yeah. When we think about suffering, it's easy to just focus on those like immediate, tangible experiences,
Right.
like physical pain or, emotional distress.
Yeah, those moments that make you want to just like curl up in a ball and hide from the world.
Yeah, exactly. But the blog post touches on this like deeper, more existential layer to suffering.
Okay.
Think about like the Buddhist concept of suffering
So,
as coming from our impermanent, ever-changing existence.
so it's not just about bad things happening,
Right.
but like a deeper unease that comes with just being human.
Exactly. The recognition that we're constantly losing things, that we can't control the flow of life, that can be a source of like real discomfort.
So is suffering just like an unavoidable part of the human experience?
Well, that's a question that's been debated for centuries.
Right.
Some philosophical and spiritual traditions would say yes.
Okay.
Suffering is just inherent to our existence.
Okay.
But others, like the transhumanist movement, believe that we can use technology to like transcend our biological limitations
Okay.
and minimize or even eradicate suffering.
So it seems like we're faced with this choice.
Yeah.
Accept suffering as inevitable
Mm.
or try to create a world where it's minimized or even eliminated.
And that choice raises so many questions.
Yeah.
If we could just eliminate suffering,
Right.
would we lose something essential to being human?
Like what?
Would we still be capable of growth,
Mm-hmm.
compassion, creativity?
The Post seems to suggest it's not about creating a utopia
Right.
where everyone's just happy and fulfilled all the time.
Yeah.
It's about finding a balance,
Yeah.
minimizing unnecessary suffering
Mm.
while still allowing for growth and meaning making.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not about erasing all challenges or
Right.
discomfort.
Yeah.
It's about making those experiences catalysts for growth
Okay.
instead of sources of pain or fear.
So how do we find that balance?
Right.
How do we know what suffering helps us grow?
Yeah.
And what suffering just hinders us?
That's where the cultural shift comes in.
Okay.
We need to talk openly and honestly about the future we want.
Okay.
What suffering is truly necessary
Mm.
and what can we let go of?
Those conversations might be tough,
Yeah.
but they're important if we want to create a world where we can reach our full potential.
Absolutely. If we could let go of that fear of judgment,
Right.
the pressure to conform,
Yeah.
wouldn't that free us to express ourselves more authentically
Yeah.
and connect with each other in more meaningful ways?
Imagine the creative energy if we weren't so worried about fitting in.
Right. Think of the new art, the
Yeah.
music, the literature.
Yeah.
That could come from a place of true freedom and self-expression.
And it's not just about the arts.
Right.
Imagine the impact on our relationships,
Our community.
even our political systems.
Yeah.
If we could interact from a place of empathy and understanding, free from fear and distrust.
It's a powerful vision.
It is.
It might seem idealistic, but I think it's worth striving for. This post reminds us that the future is not set in stone.
Okay.
We have choices,
We do.
and those choices will shape the world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the takeaway for our listeners?
I hope they walk away feeling like anything is possible,
Right.
that the world isn't fixed,
Yeah.
that we have the power to create something new. It starts with questioning those beliefs about suffering
Okay.
and exploring what a world without those limitations could look like.
It's about recognizing that our capacity for creativity,
For connection,
for compassion,
could be so much greater than we imagine if we can just let go of those fears.
and embrace a new way of being in the world.
Beautifully put,
It's an invitation to step into a world
where our true selves can flourish
where our social structures help us grow.
instead of holding us back.
And on that note,
Yeah.
we'll bring this deep dive to a close. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope you'll keep thinking about these ideas
Yeah,
and maybe even spark some conversations of your own
absolutely.
about what a world beyond the reach of tyranny could